Is this glass grinder necessary, and do I even need to buy one? Can you get that carburetor stone and use that instead? And that's what we want to talk about in today's video. We'll go over the carburetor stone, what it's good for, and also its limitations, and then that glass grinder and at what point you might want to consider looking into getting one. All right, let's go. So the carburetor stone is a silicon carbide sharpening stone. It has a little bit more of a coarse grinding pattern to be able to clean up those sharp corners and points on the stained glass. It's about 9 3/4 of an inch to 40 millimeters in length. The grip on this is natural. You just hold it much like any handle. Every time you break your glass pieces, sometimes they don't break as nice and clean. You'll have to clean up some of those edges. So with this grinding stone, that's what this is for. I take the glass edges that is sharp, hold the glass in one hand and the stone in the other, and I use it like a file, push in one direction, and just keep repeating that. Going back and forth seems to break those edges up a little bit more, so I just like to go in one direction. I think it's a perfect tool to have, even if you have a glass grinder. Easily file your pieces and you're ready to move on to the next thing. The stone, however, is not made to take off that much material. It will remove some of the material, but you might be sitting there for a long time trying to shape that glass. Is really used to take out those sharp edges, and that's the best way that it's going to be the most effective. I just use this completely dry, not too worried about dust that's coming off because I'm very lightly pushing on it. You can wet this and use it as a wet grinder, so dipping it in water, running it inside water, or just wetting the stone. So if this is all you had and you don't have a glass grinder, I think the best thing to do is choose projects that actually do not need a lot of grinding. So the pinwheel is a great one. The honeycomb is another good one. Even the simple box, the 3D cube, is also another good one. It's all squares. Those are going to be easier to cut since they're all straight lines. Basically, just easy and light filing on the edges is what the stone is best for. Get those straighter cuts and you won't have to go with the glass grinder. Which brings us to the better solution in grinding your glass pieces, and that is with the glass grinder. So the glass grinder, as you might know, has a spinning bit that is covered with a diamond grit. And so with that high spinning diamond bit, when your glass touches it, it's going to remove so much of that material much quicker than it would with the carburetor stone. Since the bit is moving so fast, it does need to be wet, and that's why you have that sponge touching the water from the bay and then touching the spinning bit to clean off the glass dust and particles coming off of your glass pieces. You would use this grinder at any point when you feel like those glass pieces needs to be shaped, things are cut wrong, you need to grind down the edges. So a sample would be something with a lot of pieces and a lot of curved pieces, like the Game of Thrones dire wolf. Definitely needed to be grind it down using the glass grinder. It is just not worth it to sit there and grind your pieces with the carburetor stone, especially when there are many pieces that need to come together. I remember when I started out, I didn't even know about the carburetor stone. I actually tried using this small knife sharpener that I had. I actually thought that it would grind glass, and I tried it. I remember just sitting there forever trying to grind this piece on it. I had many other pieces to go. At that point, I knew it was time to get a glass grinder, or started to look for one. And so what I did was look on Craigslist, and I actually found a used glass grinder. I didn't even test it out when I bought it. Fortunately, everything was working. The motor turned. I didn't even have to replace that bit. It was still working fine. But of course, if you replace it with a brand new bit, then it's pretty much like getting a brand new grinder. I got mine for $40, and I was able to continue my projects and start making anything that I wanted to because I had that glass grinder, and I wasn't worried about what I was cutting or how it would come out. I knew I could fix it with the glass grinder easily. So that is what the glass grinder is going to be able to do, to speed up the process in your work, allow you to correct your mistakes much quicker than it would with the carburetor stone, if at all. So I think as you're starting out, start with the carburetor stone, learn about the steps, work your way into getting the glass grinder. Later on, when you're making more projects and they're getting more difficult and you've got a lot more curves and you know that the carburetor stone won't be able to handle that, then you'll start looking for your glass grinder and possibly looking for that used glass grinder. If you don't have used grinders in the area and you can't find one, then of course you'll have to get a new one. You guys might know that I am an affiliate with Inland Craft. They have given us $15 off any of their grinders, you could use the code SGDIY. Just go to their website and use it at checkout and you'll get $15 off. Also, as of this recording, their grinders are on sale right now. Use the code and it will apply to that sale. That's the best deal that I have found on any of their grinders. Time to get those grinders if you've been looking at one. So the glass grinder is going to be your friend in trying to move the project ahead that much quicker. Even if you had straight cuts and straight lines, straight projects, you might want to consider getting a glass grinder just in case some of those pieces don't come out right and you need a quick fix. You can quickly jump onto the glass grinder. So hopefully I've covered enough for you guys to understand the differences between the glass grinder and the carburetor stone and how you can use those items effectively. If you have any more questions, then please leave them down in the comments. If you want to get started with stained glass, of course we have stained glass kits available for you guys. Check that out at the website stainedglassdiy.com. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something and I will see you in the next one.